The Monster Truck Statistics Spotlight rides up the road to Music City this weekend, where Arena Series Central has rebranded and added a band of bikes to its Bridgestone Arena lineup. Who's ready for some Freestyle Mania? Join me as we preview all the action before Monster Jam strikes a chord in Nashville, only on MonsterHub. Let's get in tune real quick. Monster Jam re-debuted their Freestyle Mania format this past summer, but instead of a truck-focused four-competition frenzy without a racing bracket as the event was back in 2010 and 2011, the promotion has invited the US FMX Daredevils into the Point Series action for the first time. These riders may not be used to representing names like Gravedigger and Megalodon in competition, but most are no stranger to Monster Jam, and none are strangers to wowing the crowd on their two-wheeled flyers. Greg Duffy and Drew Slough put their bikes through these paces on that West Coast mini-tour, but the rest of this 8-rider crop is brand new to the concept. The lineup includes usual MJ superstars TJ Tiffany, Cameron Sepulveda, and AJ Roseboro, fresh faces Noah Bakken and Chandler Hyder, and even grizzled veteran Scott Murray, one of the innovators of the double flip. Oh, and there are still monster truck competitions going on, 3 of them to be exact, with an equally stacked lineup. A Music City reunion brings back together 5 of the Bridgestone Arena's 2024 crop, adding in Tony Oaks after his own 8-year Nashville absence. Fernando Martinez has taken a trip to Tennessee every year since joining the Monster Jam fleet in late 2023. Brianna Mahan spaced her Bridgestone visits pretty evenly across her career, with a Triple Threat 2016 showing, a visit in 2021 with Whiplash, and that 2024 weekend kicking off her return Point Series. Weston Anderson and the Telechka siblings also come back to the venue this week. The only new faces at the Monster Truck controls, the rookie contention duo of Chucky Pocket III and Kylie Kent, bringing Send It Motorsports' speed team down to Tennessee's proverbial sunny shore. Hey, at least it's a few degrees warmer than the group's base in Howell, Michigan. That continuity doesn't exactly continue on the truck side, with some of the sport's newest identities, Bailey Circuit, Classroom Crusher, and JCB Digatron making their Bridgestone Arena debuts. Of course, Gravedigger tops the Nashville trip list with 41 prior events in this building, but even the Black and Green Wrecking Machine hasn't attended every event in this arena. Scroll back to 2010 and you won't find any Monster Jam-owned identities in that lineup. Tennessee does love their zombies, though, with the Grey Beast crawling from the underworld more than even El Toro Loco stomped through here. Speaking of Toro, here's your 25th anniversary factoid. It took a few tries and a few drivers for the Crazy Bull to break into the winner's circle, but Mark List raced it to the first overall event championship of 2019's Triple Threat Central and owns both of the identity's only 2 confirmed overalls from this building. Before competition kicks off in the volunteer state, let's take a deeper look into each of these 8 drivers' relevant statistics. MonsterHub does not track FMX statistics unless the competition is part of the overall event championship points, e.g. Freestyle Mania. But if Greensboro was any indication, these 8 riders will keep fans on their feet and competition on their toes throughout the 2026 season. All riders are chasing Scott Murray after opening weekend. The 49-year-old freestyle motocross legend took all but 1 victory among the after-halftime headliners, tallying 42 points for Team Megalodon and helping slot their duo into 5th place on the point sheet. Greg Duffy picked up where he left off over the summer, taking the first best upright trick win of the season against Murray's only mulligan. After that, though, Duffy's finished all over the map from 2nd to 6th. TJ Tiffany's Rock Solids put him on the podium of every best upright trick competition for Team Digatron, while Cam Sepulveda proved pink and glitter is for the boys, girls, and everyone in between with his own upside-down Superman and Kiss of Death variations to collect 20 points in best trick for Team Sparkle Smash. AJ Roseboro's Show 2 Cliffhanger put a runner-up finish in Best Upright Trick on the board for Team El Toro Loco. Drew Slough landed a backflip heel clicker in Show 1 to give Team Classroom Crusher a bronze in Best Trick, and Chandler Hyder rounded out the Best Upright Trick competition on Sunday with zombie arms. Nice touch. Kylie Kent brings the Monster Truck half of the Sparkle Smash party to the Freestyle Mania Tour as Send It Motorsports expands its Monster Jam effort to 2 talented driver pairings. And while I'm personally a little sad there's no Frostbite motorbike running around here, Kent will be just as competitive with the Unicorn fiberglass Hunter truck as she is with the Polar Bear. That said, adjustment to the arena pod setup from a season on more traditional linear track layouts takes some time for even the best drivers. Kylie isn't afraid to give a little throttle to the track already. A clean drift into the corner of the venue on Sunday was encouraging, as were her obstacle course times, but nothing from her Monster Jam debut indicated some spectacular rookie phenom season ahead, and that's perfectly alright. As a sport, we've been spoiled on rookies in recent memory, and the breakout first-year Monster Jam campaigns of drivers like Zach Garner, Jamie Sullivan, and Fernando Martinez have overshadowed more run-of-the-mill early forays like Brittany Marcotte, Craig Champion, and Devin Winfield, who himself catapulted from 8th to 2nd in points from rookie to sophomore. This early in a career, the game is all about learning and improving. No better tour to learn from and improve on than this one, complete with a driver most similar to her own monster truck path, fellow All-Star graduate Michaela Toluchka. Kent held decent angle on her Saturday night skywheelie attempts and sprinkled in a few more for good measure in her following freestyle routines. She'll move from the tight confines of the First Horizon Coliseum to a bit roomier floor in Nashville this weekend, giving her her first taste of bracket racing. If she can keep the unicorn steady on a dirt surface notorious for flipping even the most experienced drifters, Kylie will be well on her way to a successful rookie chapter. I'm following current point standings order for driver previews, and even though Brandon Toluchka racked up 43 points in the First Horizon Coliseum's monster truck competitions, he's got a hole to dig out of already, and that's not just because of the undead creature now placed atop his machine. Some of it's out of his control, as Toluchka can only take responsibility for 60% of the title fight on this tour. But for the newest representative of Team Zombie, a competition win would definitely help the situation at hand, or at arm. After a few seasons repping MK Motorsports' multisyllabic mainstay identities, Brandon traded his new Livin' on the Edge body for the Zombie moniker on Freestyle Mania, and I still think it'll net positive results by the end of the tour. The Wisconsinite has walked steady gains up the point sheet over the past 3 seasons, climbing from 6th to 5th to 4th, with a handful of legitimate title challenge moments along the last 2 campaigns. The difficulty level of his routines has certainly deserved better reception from Judges Zone in the past, partially assuaged by the expert judge since last year, but having to start freestyle twice this past weekend did him no favors. That said, he did hold on to podium efforts in both of those events. Brandon's gone right back to the well of tipping his Patrick Enterprises piece onto the front light bar in 2-wheel too, though the industry might have to switch from calling it a Packer's Peak to a Jawbreaker considering Zombie's overbite. On Sunday, it bit him, putting his machine brains down off the pod. But that's the risk taken to complete these daring maneuvers. Toluchka has months ahead to bring his 2026 title efforts back from the dead, and with a return to bracket racing on the horizon this weekend, this might give us a much clearer picture of how he'll fare. Charles, Charlie, Chucky, and suddenly I'm transported back to the 1999 TNN days, where production insisted on calling his father Chuck Polkins. Whatever we call him, the phenom known as CP3 gets the keys, yes, I know monster trucks do not have keys, it's an expression, to send it Motorsports' iteration of Classroom Crusher, and if Greensboro is any early indication, the apple hasn't fallen far from the teacher's desk. Polkins' jump stoppie to cap his first ever Monster Jam timed racing pass is just a sign of the brilliance to come. Pocken hasn't broken out of the middle third of the results page much just yet, notching just 3 of his 9 competition finishes below 6th place. That's good news for Classroom Crusher student driver as he cuts his teeth on the pod setup. Chucky's first ever 2-wheel skills attempt? A stoppie pop off the log stack, rocked off into a wheelie, and throttled back up into another stoppie before moonwalking off. Not many people land a 5-piece combo in their rookie season, let alone their first weekend, let alone their first try under the MJ lights. Yeah, the wheelie could have been lifted better, and beginner's luck wore off by the time he'd struggled to shift a reverse popper forward fast enough to execute his second attempt. But Pocken redeemed that second point on Sunday with a wheelie across the pod reminiscent of monster trucking's finest. His freestyles put the bus nose down with more creative freedom as he incorporated some risky jump stoppies into his routines, and good air off the corner obstacles threatened to clear the track on more than one occasion. Nashville presents new obstacles on Chucky's Monster Jam Driving 101 course, with his first taste of bracket racing on the Chicago-style course looming on the horizon. But like his teammate and fellow rookie Kent, as long as he keeps making forward strides this year, he'll be setting up for a long and successful career. Michaela Toluchka rides her trusty shark on the wave of Scott Murray's FMX success to 5th on the point sheet, and while it's still way too early to speculate on LCQ implications, this might push the 4th-year Monster Jam competitor to her best season yet. Toluchka grabbed her first bracket racing win in Providence last season, and thanks to Murray's efforts, she's already matched her 2025 high mark on the overall event championship hunt as part of 2 of Team Megalodon's bronze medal landings. Michaela can still take steps forward on the results page. She collected no more than 9 points an event in Greensboro. But her output punches above that weight class already in 2026. A 6.858 aggregate judges' zone score from her two-wheel effort in the Saturday evening event hardly represents the fantastic control she displayed of both poppers off the log stack. Telichka brought at least one of her skills attempts to exceptional verticality at all 3 shows. She was also one of only 2 drivers willing to test the limits of lateral equilibrium by throwing a bicycle into their freestyle routines. The other, Brandon Telichka, effectively locking MK Motorsports in a sibling rivalry of any trick you can pull off, I can pull off better. Consistency of execution will come with more time and more repetitions, but Michaela's off to a promising start in the scored competitions this season. If and when she unlocks more cornering speed, expect Megalodon to challenge for overall event championships on this tour. Telichka's lone racing win came from lap-breaking mistakes from MJ Solorio and Blake Granger, and while keeping the Shark upright and clean around the cones is half the battle, she'll need to pick up just a little pace to keep this tour in check on the Chicago-style oval. At points in his early career, Fernando Martinez has looked like a top 5 driver sport-wide, and certainly one of a select few that could potentially challenge Weston Anderson for a tour championship. At other points, he's found hard luck in some of the most inexplicable ways, like casing El Toro Loco on the mini-flip obstacle last weekend. But with 52 wheel wins now on the board, this superfan turned superstar is hardly done turning heads and writing his own destiny among Monster Jam stars. Martinez garnered the 3rd most Monster Truck points in Greensboro, landing within earshot of Anderson and not too far behind Oaks. But like Brandon Telichka, Fernando's a little at the mercy of the motorbike judges' zone scores here. The best he can do is continue to run his own race, which, speaking of, this is the best time for Fern to break through in bracket racing. His experience on simulation-like games might explain the truck control he displays well beyond his driving years, but he's only put the whole bracket to pasture 4 times so far, with his last dating back to Newark nearly a calendar year ago. In a way, the 2025 Last Chance Qualifier pole sitter fared better on the Chicago Oval out of the gate. That's not a bad thing in and of itself, considering his opponents in 2024, Weston Anderson, Brianna Mahan, Brandon Telichka, Michaela Telichka. Something's familiar about that. Oh yeah, that's who he's currently facing. This early in the season, the Tour Championship is still anyone's game on this tour, but ever the gamer and entertainer himself, Martinez can afford to take this opportunity and work on smoothing out his already solid racing skills. The scored competitions can and likely will fall into place for him after that. After making Whiplash her own for half a decade and reinventing herself in a return to the Scooby-Doo monster truck, Brianna Mahan bid the crime-solving canine farewell in 2025 and moved into a machine she's deserved since she first earned Rookie of the Year honors in 2015, a sponsored identity. Monster Jam's partnership with another property from its ownership brought Bailey Circuit to 6-ton form, and Mahan's done a brilliant job so far at representing the robotic member of the Dog Pound on the arena scene. Brianna's Greensboro efforts didn't net more than 1 competition win, but her consistency helped keep Team Bailey Circuit within earshot of the tour lead and ahead of Team El Toro Loco, and frankly, it's the victory she did earn that should turn heads and hint at more success on the other side of the tightrope. Mahan is a quick racer, but historically, her bracket statistics punch a little harder than her timed course results. In 2025, Brianna failed to post the fastest obstacle pace on any small floor event behind either canine companion. So for her to land back-to-back podiums in the discipline and grab her first timed racing win since Spokane 2024 in the first weekend of this hotly contested tour speaks volumes. She averaged a 3.0 finish across the trio of buzzer beater contests, trailing only current points leader Tony Oaks and matching Weston Anderson's pace. The challenge now? Keep her circus-inspired machine rolling for the entire 75 seconds to finish her events. Mahan kicked off her freestyle output this season with a roaring run complete with massive sky wheelies and a jump stoppie, but early break into the Saturday night's competition and a half sidewall crash that ran out of room on Sunday left potential points on the table. But as the numbers we'll cover in the freestyle preview later, a trip back to Nashville could put all the pieces together and make Brianna's win count skyrocket. The wall of accolades to the left speaks for itself. Weston Anderson entered the world of Monster Jam in January 22 and has never looked back, cementing himself as world-class in just 4 short years, and with 4 consecutive Arena Championship Series titles to show for it. And to this point in his career, he hadn't really had a dethroning threat either. But here we are, 1 week into 2026, and the undefeated Titan enters week 2 staring up a competition's worth points ladder to first place. It's time for Gravedigger's Crown Prince to dig deep. After clinching his rookie series with a scant 118-point lead, Anderson roared to a title defense 250 points clear of his competition in 2023 and added another 100-point buffer to that mark in the 2 years since. A record like that leaves hardly any reason to ring alarm bells for a distance to championship leader Tony Oaks of 10 points or less. But that stat is a large part of what makes this Freestyle Mania setup so intriguing. If Anderson can't be surpassed on a season-long basis from truck points alone, does a team competition at least rein in those massive points gaps by mid-May? Greensboro proved the doors open for challenge in 2026, as Weston hits year 5 of his still green career. He opened the tour by sweeping the monster truck disciplines, but slipped off the podium entirely on Saturday night and could score no better than second place to Digatron on Sunday. A failure to complete minimum time from attrition in Show 2 swung the balance against Anderson's favor, but again, Weston's career is still extremely young, all things considered. A little competition on the point sheet was bound to happen eventually, and the fact that his FMX rider Noah Bakken earned the same amount of points as JCB's TJ Tiffany across opening weekend encourages me a little that he'll get to control his own destiny if things stay this way. Of course, this is motorsport, nothing stays anyway for long. About Oaks, Tony traded his Southern Aurora digs for a JCB backhoe just weeks before the start of the 2026 season, picking up his complimentary two-wheel skills win for the team on Sunday. Seriously, almost every Digatron driver has notched an early win in that discipline, and has rarely, if ever, looked better. That's optimistic news for the veteran celebrating his own decade of destruction. And after 10 years behind the wheel, no close to this chapter would be better than Oaks finally climbing into the Monster Jam World Finals main field. For lack of a better description of his career thus far, Oaks just feels like one of the monster truck world's hidden gems. From a Black Ops spin-off and a one-time appearance as Superman following the footsteps of the tank's namesake Chad Fortune, to a Neil Elliott-esque run as T-Wars Arena representative as Colt Stevens roared his driving career to a freestyle title, and even now, piloting Digatron past Weston Anderson, while Tristan England decides to handspring front flip on purpose with a broken truck in Orlando. Tony has almost always stood in the shadow of other drivers in the same identity. He matched Becky McDonough's record mark of 5 last-chance qualifier tickets in Salt Lake City last July, but Becky's run wasn't interrupted by chassis logistics or the world shutting down for a year and a half. His best chance at an arena title slipped from his grasp in the waning moments of 2022's Arena Central. Everything in the Pennsylvanian's career has led to this moment. On top of the world, no discipline finished worse than 4th in Greensboro, 2 scored competition wins complete with what should be viral moments in the community. There's a long tour ahead for Oaks and the Digatron team, but he just might use one of the best opening weekends of his career to this point as a springboard to finally claim his rightful place among the sport's elite. Okay, you've got the lineup. That's enough of my rambling for now. It's time to let the numbers do the talking. Get your table reading glasses ready because we're about to dive into the deep end of arena bracket racing statistics, from career totals to 2025 info to venue specifics. Nashville welcomes an onslaught of not only returning competitors, but also drivers with rich histories racing each other. The Wisconsin family teammates Brandon and Michaela Toluchka face off against familiar foe Tony Oaks, who they've spent 2 points tours racing. Advantage swings the Digatron pilot's direction in both matches, while Brandon approaches a 90% win record against his sister in their own battle. Also featured are perennial touring partners Weston Anderson and Brianna Mahan, who've spent 4 tours against each other and near 60 total face-offs in arena competition. All that noted, racing is the only competition Weston Anderson hasn't conquered here, and he'll need to better his 50-50 chance of advancing through the Bridgestone Arena bracket to march back to the top of the point sheet. Brianna Mahan has matched that effort despite a strong 2016 showing, as her 5-2 record from that weekend has faded with time to 8 wins and 8 losses. It's been feast or famine for Brandon Toluchka and Fernando Martinez as well. The Zombie driver won this discipline in 2024's second event, but lost in round 1 in the surrounding shows, the exact inverse of Martinez's 2 final round appearances sandwiching his early exit that Saturday night. Even Tony Oaks' recorded 2018 victory flipped on its head in round 1 the very next event, with no record of how he fared that Sunday. Nashville's dirt has rarely lent itself to racing domination, or really shown any kindness to the monster truck drivers that dare tame its surface. Crashes from Triton Robbins and Matt Cody last year, consistent disqualifications from turn obstacle hits, and even the occasional attrition knocking out victors like Montana Robbins and Greg Winchenbach's 2022 Jester one-off all dot the Bridgestone Arena record books. Is there such a thing as domination in Tennessee's Arena Jewel? If anyone would know, it'd be either home state veteran Alan Pizzo or the leader of the zombie horde, Bari Musauer. Pizzo clicked off the only recorded victory against Gravedigger's Gary Porter here in 2004, before wheeling Predator back to the winner's circle 3 times in the Advanced Auto Parts era. Musauer made his first appearance in this building back in 2016 alongside Mahan on Triple Threat East, and countered a loss to Aaron Bagel in his first match with back-to-back final round triumphs and no recorded loss in a round 1 battle here since. That success seems to carry from zombie to zombie, with Amy Hood, John Zimmer, Chad Tingler, and Frank Krimmel all carrying their undead vehicles out of round 1 at least twice. After all that speeding through racing, I need a break. I need a little control. I need some balance, some precision. That's right, it's time for more numbers. Get those decimal points ready, because now we're covering two-wheel skills. Off the top 10 chart alone, the Bridgestone Arena certainly looks like another Gravedigger two-wheel skills playground dominated by 3 Weston Anderson routines. Stretch that record back 1 more spot, and Weston also holds the 11th highest Judges' Zone score in this discipline from his first outing in 2023. But drivers like Caleb Blood, Montana Robbins, Lindsey Reed, and Nick Pagliarulo dot the landscape just beyond the 9.369 threshold set by Mark List, many with wins from those scores in their own right. Before the addition of the expert judge, Nashville has historically been a high-scoring skills city. It remains to be seen how that balances this year, especially with some eyebrow-raising lowballs from the fans' side early in the 2026 season. Among the rest of the top 10, Nashville has been kind in the past to routines with just 1 successful attempt, so long as there's reason to slide that tire up the chart. Tom Metz salvaged his 2022 Event 1 effort with a nail-biting recovery, and Mark List rocked back from moonwalk to wheelie the next day to counter an otherwise decent first hit. Off-screen, at least with surviving footage, Elvis Linez earned not 1 but 2 high scores for his 2021 tricks as the second Mohawk Warrior representative. Fernando Martinez is probably looking for some higher scores considering his technical brilliance in this discipline here last season. Fern earned the distinction of kicking off Arena Central Skills Contests in 2025, and his picture-perfect nose pick wheelie to cap his second attempt in a duo of textbook verticality nearly held on for the 8-point winner's bounty. Until Montana Robbins, last to go in the competition after taking Martinez out in round 1 of racing, flew in with his own balancing axe, sans wheelie combination, to take the top spot. The El Toro Loco driver can only wonder what could have been had he ran just a little deeper in the lineup, a testament to the snowball effect that typically plagues an early racing exit. But in his 3rd visit to this building, Martinez has 3 more opportunities to put the bull back on top in the two-wheel contest here for the first time in 3 years. John Zimmer Jr. immediately followed Fernando in that competition's order and was the only driver who dared attempt a bicycle in this competition here last season. His effort, that rode around the whole racing turn, coupled with a strong 4-piece nose-to-tail-to-nose combination, was only rewarded with 4th place. We've covered speed, we've covered skill. What about style? Monster Jam's freestyle competition lets drivers attack the track every which way they desire, so let's dive back into the numbers and see what the stats have to say about the sport's pinnacle discipline. If you saw the top 10 table for two-wheel skills and thought Nashville was firmly digger country, the freestyle chart just drives that stake further into the ground. Weston Anderson can't totally rely on this discipline to climb back to the top of the leaderboard though, even if he's only finished lower than a win once. See, DNCs aren't counted in average finish because the driver didn't compete, therefore they had nowhere to finish. Anderson has 2 of those on his Nashville record, both in Sunday matinees. A third such stumble could derail any progress Anderson makes up from the first 2 events, but when he's on the floor in the Bridgestone Arena, he's on his A-game, and considering the hang time he's had here before, I'd question how much he's on the floor when he is on the floor. This could be a top-to-bottom weekend of fantastic freestyle action, befitting the Freestyle Mania name. These returning drivers have only received a judge's zone score lower than 7.59 for 7 routines among their 24 total, punching above the venue average. Factor in Fernando Martinez flipping the script on his rookie showings with a 9.025 average score here last year, and the sunny outlook for the Bridgestone Arena only gets better. As I touched on in the Salt Lake City preview video, mini flips tend to be insurmountable tricks on the road to an arena freestyle win. Nashville's 2025 events were no exception. Not only did Matt Cody and Jamie Sullivan split the spoils of victory here last January, all of their winning runs, Cody's matinees and Sullivan's evening routine, landed among the top 10 Bridgestone Arena Judges Zone freestyle scores ever recorded. And while their performances stand strong in their own right, the backflip bonanza overshadows other hidden gems last year, like John Zimmer Jr.'s Saturday Night Melee and Fernando Martinez's non-stop display of skill in the weekend's closing competition. Considering how 2026 has started, I see no changes in that forecast. So if the 8 points of victory get clinched with a landed mini flip, the battle is on for second place. Per Martinez's and Zimmer's clinics and Cody's record-setting Saturday afternoon run, Nashville responds best to big air and quick pace, even at expense of variety. Considering its roomier end zones than other tour stops, perhaps this is the best place for competitors to stretch their wings and try for envelope-pushing jumps every which way across the pod. Unfortunately, I did not bring any pumpkin pie to this week's Food for Thought, but I did bring something far less edible and far more ponderable. This isn't the first time Monster Jam's tried to tie in other motorsports to various degrees alongside monster trucks. The big trucks themselves, of course, began life as the side acts. This isn't the first time Monster Jam's paired those other sports with the big trucks on the point sheet either. That dates back to the initial promotion-wide expansion into the current points tour format. ATV riders account for up to 16 points of many arena events from 2017 to 2019. With riders like Quentin Bartow, PJ Hall, generative, and even Bobby Parr, remember him? To thank for overall event championships from coast to coast. This is, however, the first time drivers and riders have been paired to this scale. Monster Jam had never announced the ATV riders back in the day, nor were their finishing orders posted beyond passing comments in the now extinct recap write-ups attached to results pages. Because of this, I'm not even sure if I spelled or pronounced Quentin's name right up there. Freestyle Mania is a step forward if this is the direction MJ wants to go, but I think it's worth a discussion on whether this direction works. Duffy and Slough claim the only returning slots as Freestyle Mania blossoms into a full-fledged tour, and neither rider represents the team they flipped and whipped for over the summer. Caleb DeLacy, Dean Pate, Jared LaRue, and reigning champion Ripper Ray? Nowhere to be found. Bear in mind, the original Freestyle Mania lineup changed drastically from what was originally reported, i.e. Kyle and Cassie Boone both bowing out, which led to Slough's appearance in the first place. For decades, FMX has been seen as the intermission entertainment at some Monster Jam events. Being present at every arena event across the tour is a relatively new development in and of itself, and with a hardcore fanbase that seems to sneer at every change, no matter how little it affects competition, suddenly quadrupling the judges' own input during the concourse popcorn break is a little jarring. But if this is indeed the next phase of Monster Jam Arena competition, what's the best way to get monster truck fans, from casual one-time attendees to the most fervid supporters, excited about the riders that contribute to and share in this tour's success? An FMX World Finals Championship? Another Freestyle Mania tour? Mid-event interviews caring about trials and tribulations? I'll say calling them by name is a great first step. Nashville is just one stop of 5 this weekend, as the Monster Jam domestic tours have all kicked off into their grueling national schedules. International gets a break after Doha, which means Peter Nyman and Mike Waters II get a nice break to both relish their respective successes last weekend. After Camden Murphy sped to the top of the leaderboard and Tristan England landed a heart-stopping handspring front flip, Stadium East heads up to St. Louis in a can't-miss weekend at one of the industry's biggest hollowed grounds. Stadium West heads up the road from San Diego to Anaheim, where Tyler Menninga looks to continue his racing domination against hard charges from John Gordon, Barry Musauer, and two-time Stadium Skills winner Mike Christensen. Arena East does actually head east this weekend. Baltimore's CFG Bank Arena gets treated with a tour that saw Cody Saucier drift drag into 4 consecutive racing wins, and Montana Robbins notch his 2nd career overall event championship. And Arena West gets the extra distance from Reno with a higher ceiling to play with this weekend, hitting the Tacoma Dome, once a stadium stop in its own right, and now an annual celebration of breathing room for this tour. If all these numbers sound less like music to your ears and more like noise from a local garage band, let's recap. Nashville's first taste of the Freestyle Mania Redux features many returning faces, both truck and driver. Tony Oaks leads the charge ahead of Weston Anderson, but with an unpredictable racing competition and 2 scored disciplines dominated by Gravedigger, that advantage could vanish in the blink of an eye. So with all those cards on the table, who stands out as MonsterHub's driver to watch this week? You don't earn nicknames like Princess of Carnage for no reason, and nobody's more worthy of a proper coronation ceremony in 2026 than Brianna Mahan. A decade of high-caliber performances have led her to this tour, entrusted with the task of bridging the gap between the intensity of motorsport and sheer joy of the metaphorical big top. With a decorated teammate like Greg Duffy covering the FMX side of the competition, Mahan can focus on adding to her Music City trophy collection all weekend long. I hope you've enjoyed this unrelenting setlist of Monster Jam statistics. There will be plenty more concerts on this stage in 2026. Drop a like if you feel ready to take in this weekend's Bridgestone Arena action, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any event previews for the season. Join me next week as we head from Atlantic to Pacific and cover Stadium Championship Series West's outlook for San Diego, California, only on MonsterHub. MonsterHub is not affiliated with Monster Jam or Feld Entertainment. All driver names, truck names, and other associated intellectual property belong to their respective owners and are referenced in this video for sake of statistics and clarity only.